Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Hack It Out podcast. This is episode 27. I've got Derek with me today.
What's up?
And we've got Skyler with us today.
Hey there.
How's it going, Skyler? It's been a little while since you've been on here.
Yeah, we were just recapping what we talked about last, and it was like the end of 2016. So
it's been a while.
Now we're already getting close to the end of 2017, which is crazy. Ridiculous how fast that's...
Here. Can't believe it.
Yeah, you're just going to be our end of the year guy. No, I mean, it's just the podcast hasn't seen a lot of activity this year, which is also kind of a trend, unfortunately. But anyway, today's episode is going to be focused on the new iPhones and everything that was announced at the Apple's conference from Tuesday, September 12th. So we're really just going to jump right in, guys. Mm-hmm. The first iPhone we're going to talk about is, of course, the iPhone 8, which is interesting because they didn't do an S this year. A lot of people thought maybe there was going to be an iPhone 7S, but they jumped right into an 8.
Kind of makes you wonder if they're just going to get rid of the S moniker.
You know, I always kind of hated that S moniker personally. I mean, I understand they did it because those were kind of the lines where they didn't necessarily change like a lot outwardly of the phone, but it was more just internal. And then, you know, the next one was always the one they changed a lot of, but it is kind of odd though that they didn't do it that way.
It's, you know, they always sell a ton of iPhones no matter what, but I wonder if that particular cycle didn't sell as well as the brand new cycle. Like, you'd think it was the case.
Right.
So maybe, Derek, you're right that they're just going to do that. Well, and it always annoyed me too that even though it was reversed, that the names were so similar to the Samsungs.
Oh, I know. Samsungs are like S6,
they're like
S7, and iPhones are
7S.
Yeah, 6S. Yeah, it is kind of odd like that.
I think they wanted to coordinate it around the Galaxy S8, honestly. I think they wanted to make it like, we're not going to be behind anymore. We're going to be right, with or ahead of Samsung.
I mean, you could be right. Yeah. But just a brief overview of tech specs on this, guys, is that it is going back to like the iPhone 4 and 4S, is it's going to be glass front and glass on the back, which means you can shatter the whole thing now right. Instead of just the front. And 3 colors, silver, space gray, and gold. And of course the iPhone 8 is the 4.7-inch display, with the iPhone 8 Plus being the 5.5-inch display. So the same sizes as what we've had for the 6, the 6S, and the 7. And then their respective Plus models. The 8 and 8 Plus are going to have stereo speakers, which they are saying are 25% louder than the iPhone 7.
So, okay. So I guess I don't have an iPhone 7. I've got a 6S still. Is the other speaker the earphone? Like this top? Okay. Yeah. Okay, I was never really sure, but I never looked into that too much.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, so it's supposedly 25% louder. And then, of course, it's got, one of Apple's branded chips, the A11, calling it the Bionic chip. I'm not going to go into any technical details on that. Then the CPU, it's 6-core CPU, and this is on both of the phones. 12-megapixel camera. And then the best part about it is they're finally including the wireless charging, which I know people have wanted Apple to finally incorporate in their iPhones for a long time, because there are a lot of, Galaxy or a lot of Android phones that have been doing that for a while.
I know they said that the glass allows them to do that. I don't necessarily understand the technology, but apparently they were one in this. Or they come together there.
I don't think it can. I guess it can't travel through aluminum or any type of metal. I don't know.
Well, it's odd, that they said it that way. And again, like you guys, I mean, I'm not super familiar with the technology, but as far as I know, I don't think you necessarily have to have glass to do so, because I used to have for work a Samsung Galaxy S5, and while it didn't have wireless charging built in, I was able to get like this little adapter thing that you like attach to the battery. Like you take the cover off and you attach it to the battery, put the cover back on, and then it's able to wirelessly charge. And it does not have a glass back or anything.
It was just a regular plastic back?
Mm-hmm. And it's got a case on it too. So, I'm not sure what their wording was on that. Or maybe it's like a faster wireless charging, but it is the Qi wireless charging technology that pretty much everybody else uses as well. which is good. I'm glad they didn't go with some proprietary thing, which means that you'll be able to use it with.
That's what people thought they were going to do.
Yeah,
like there's some only iPhones can use this.
Well, that would
be
they didn't par for the course for Apple.
Yeah. So it's great that they didn't do that. But so I mean that's really the main specs. That's why it's interesting that they went with 8 and not 7S, because really there's not a lot of change. Like this model really is kind of in line with more of an S model. The only real, I mean, hardware outward appearance change is that the back is glass now.
Yeah, and I guess the S's were pretty much physically always the same, and then they changed like some processing power or something.
Yeah, it was always internals were boosted up. Yeah. But with this, the internals and everything are boosted up, but then there's just glass on the back. But the dimensions, the size and everything is the exact same as the 7, because if you go straight to Apple's website and look for cases, all their cases now say iPhone 7/iPhone 8, iPhone 7 Plus / iPhone 8 Plus. So it's the same sizes.
So I got to take my case off as we talk about this. I have a 6 because it's a work phone and
plus.
Yep, sorry. My nephews would have corrected me because they always ask me what it is, and they should remember more than I do. But anyway, so I guess that means the 7 and the 8, despite the difference in material, have the same shape.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty much like this still,
except for the camera.
The camera is the biggest difference because the 7s introduced the dual cameras on the pluses.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But other than that, I think it's largely this. I mean, you could probably use that case on that phone.
Yeah.
I don't think you could use that case on.
No.
Right, because it would cover up the camera. But yeah, so really not a lot different here. Price-wise, well, actually, I guess before price, this is kind of interesting. They're only going with 2 storage sizes, 64 and then all the way up to 256. So they cut out the 128 model. So the iPhone 8, you got $699 for the 64 gig, $849 for the 256. The 8 Plus, you got $799 for the 64 gig and $949 for the 256 gig. And both of these launch on September 22nd. So very soon. So it's like your typical, iPhone launch. So before we really, talk too much about these, I guess a preliminary question to Skyler and Derek: are either of you getting an iPhone 8 or 8 Plus?
Negative.
No.
Neither am I.
Well,
and I will tell you why I'm not.
Why, Patrick?
I know. But I bet I know your answer. But
I bet you do too. But we'll hear your answers first.
Derek, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I've got a couple of reasons why I'm not going to get one. I might get the 10, but why I'm not getting the 8? It's not different enough than what I've got now as a 6S to justify. Why would I buy something that is technically not even the best Apple can do now?
Right.
So
that's a good point.
I mean, when you look at the prices, we have the prices here. The 8 Plus 256 is about the same price as the iPhone 10 is going to be for the base model. I don't see the point.
Yeah.
I mean, and even a 7, like a 7 Plus, is no different other than the wireless charging. Really has the same camera, more or less the same processing speed, everything else.
Yeah, I mean, if you're rocking last year's model, the 7, I really don't see any need to jump up to the 8 or 8 Plus. And honestly, I mean, if you're rocking the 6S, there probably still isn't really a need to jump up to the 8 or 8 Plus. If you're still perfectly content. I know a lot of people are still wanting to hold on to that physical home button because, the 7 got rid of the physical button. The home is still there. But it's like
what do they call that?
Haptic.
Yeah. Haptic.
Yeah. Well, it has haptic feedback.
And taptic? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I think it's called haptic, and then Apple has to be Apple, so it's called taptic.
Yeah.
iHaptic.
iTap. Yeah. So it's like an optical illusion of the.
It is a little weird.
Senses.
If you're not used to it.
I mean, I'm used to it now, but there are some times where I still feel really odd about it, and of course, the obvious is the fact that the 7 got rid of the headphone, the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, which honestly, I've had the 7 for almost a year now, and I have not really missed the 3.5 millimeter because I have Bluetooth headphones and plus the phone came with their Lightning headphones, and I haven't really needed that. And plus, my car is an older car, so I have an older stereo system in it, and I can't use like an aux cable anyway. So for me personally, I haven't really had a need for it.
It comes with a Lightning to 3.5 millimeter
adapter,
too, right?
Or
I think
a dongle.
This new one does too.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just one more thing you got to keep track of course. Yeah. But a lot of people are kind of moving towards Bluetooth anyway, and you can get really decent quality Bluetooth earbuds, headphones for pretty cheap. Like the ones I'm using, I got for like $20 on Amazon, and they're awesome. I mean, I love them. And so yeah, I mean, if you're moving towards that way, I don't really see any need to miss that headphone jack anyway.
In speed wise, I mean, they always talk about the next one's 50% faster, 75% faster, but I've never once, even like almost the 2 years I've had this, felt like this thing is so slow, or it's getting so slow. I've never really felt like that.
And actually, I mentioned this on the radio the other day. I thought it was they always say the fastest chip ever or whatever.
Right.
But it's also probably the most intense iOS. So it's going to need that.
Yeah.
And so I said, you're not going to notice it's faster. It just needs to be
that's
faster.
That's how it works, yeah.
And they probably also benchmark that on like some of their most heavy apps too, like the games that they always show at those conventions that nobody ever gets,
that one game that they demoed was ridiculous looking.
Yeah,
I can't even think of what it was
Machine?
called now. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Machine.
I mean, the stuff looks good. I mean, the games that they always show there, I mean, it's nice that they show what these phones, like what the graphical capabilities, are capable of. But, yeah, I mean, like I never get those things. And but I imagine that's what they use their benchmarks towards. But I guess the main reason why, I'm not getting the iPhone 8 or 8 Plus is, of course, because the conference had a one more thing. And why show you guys an iPhone 8 and 8 Plus that we've been working on when we can show you the better phone, the iPhone 10?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird marketing strategy. Because they know the 8's going to sell, but that's not what everyone wants. They want the 10.
Right.
I mean, that of the three of us, how many of us... Obviously, none of us want the 8.
Don't want the 8, yeah.
Maybe the 10 eventually, but not 10.
Something that was pointed out to me, and I think it's pretty smart, and this is just marketing genius on the other side of what you were just saying, is the price differences are just close enough where you're going to go, well, that's not a big jump.
Right.
And so then you kind of justify it. Now, in my experience selling phones in retail, there are people who say, I would like that, but I'm just not going to spend it.
Yeah.
And then as the sales guy, it was my job to go, well, come on, it's $200.
It's only this much.
It's only like $5 more a month.
But there are going to be plenty of those people who do get that. But you're right. It's like they just toy with us at this point.
Yeah.
Because they can.
Right.
Because they know they can.
Well, to briefly go over the specs of the iPhone 10. Now, it is not a numeral 10. It's a Roman numeral 10, which is an X. So don't call it iPhone X. It is iPhone 10.
I knew.
Like OS 10?
I knew he was going to have to kind of explain that because I know that would bug him.
Well, I even created some notes because I want to make sure before you had this, but I was like, okay, I'm going to make sure I don't put X because I'm going to see iPhone X. I'm like, oh man, it's 10.
Well, and that's what I thought. That's what it was going to be called.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because there were the stuff was leaked beforehand.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and that's what I was referring to it as, was iPhone X, which it didn't even dawn on me that they've never used like their Mac operating system OS X. They've never called it OS X. It's always OS 10. I've just always said the X, which I don't know why I have because I know that it's a Roman numeral for 10, and I don't know, it just didn't click until hearing them say it on stage. I'm like, oh, duh.
I did when I did stories on this on the radio the other day. I did say X, and then I clarified that's 10, only to make sure people knew. It was like an explainer,
right?
Because it looks like X, and the naming thing. I know you want to get to the specs, but it bugs me that they're calling it the iPhone 10. Sorry, right. I've been trying not to say the word "the" because they don't, and it sounds better.
Right?
You just say iPhone 10.
iPhone 10.
Give it the proper.
Right. It bugs me that they're doing this. I know it's because of 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
Cool. Fine. But
that's why it's Roman.
You've made like 20 iPhones, so it's not really iPhone 10.
Yeah, it's not the 10th iPhone. And yeah, it does bug me too, especially because it bugged me when Microsoft did that with Windows. They went from Windows 8 to Windows 10. What happened to Windows 9?
7, 8, 9.
Where where to go? And it's like the same thing here. Where's the iPhone 9? Are they going to come out next year? And are they going to do an iPhone 8s or an iPhone 9? Or is it going to go an iPhone 10s or an iPhone 11? Like, what are they going to do next?
What's going to supersede the 10?
That's a good question.
Or can they turn to more of an OS? What do they call the desktop
Mac
software?
OS.
OS, Mac OS. They always have the cat names. Just start naming your iPhones at this point.
Just give it a different name. And see, I never liked that either. What I always say is Sony has done everything perfectly. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4.
Not Microsoft.
Clean, smooth, just to the point. Just give it its numbers. Everybody else has just done either, like Nintendo just gives names, so it's never, incredibly clear as to which one comes first or whatever. And don't get me started with Xbox, so
they barely change anything, right? I mean,
it's
the name
Xbox 360 and then 1. So it's like
One.
The third one is actually called 1. I've never understood.
But then the upgraded version of Xbox One is called Xbox One X.
1X. So it's 1 and 10? I don't know.
You know what's sad about all this? Every time I hear a stupid commercial or a bad name for something, you go, there's really high-powered exexecutives who sat around and discussed this.
They got paid a lot of money to come up with this stupid name.
No, and the thing about it is, like, I know we're supposed to be talking about iPhones, but we'll get back to it in just a second. But, podcasts are fun because you can have these little tangents. I understand their meaning behind Xbox One because they wanted it to be one unit that you used for everything.
Yeah,
a media center, because you could plug your cable box into it. You could feed everything directly into it. You only needed one device to do everything. So I understand that behind their marketing. But I don't really remember any marketing things or any commercials that ever really even said that. Do you?
Nothing.
There might be some out there that I just never saw.
The worst was the 360. I mean, it came out of nowhere. Like, why is it called that? It's making a 360.
It's like you're back to where you started.
Back to where you started.
It would have made more sense to be a 180.
Yeah,
like
the
we're
Xbox
flipping everything around.
But still to this day, I'm like, that's the stupidest name for a console.
That's why I've always said that PlayStation, Sony, they've always done the best with the naming stuff because. Just 1, 2, 3, 4.
Anyway, back to iPhone.
Back to iPhone 10. So the tech specs, like the 8 and the 8 Plus, it's glass front and back, stainless steel frame, which looks really good, by the way. And then 2 colors on this one, just space gray and silver. And then Super Retina display is what they're calling instead of just Retina display because it's got a new type of screen. It looks a lot better. And for the first time, this is their largest screen at 5.8 inches, which is really neat because if you see, the size of the iPhone 10 is actually in between the size of like the iPhone 8 and the 8 Plus.
Right. It's
even though it's got the bigger screen.
It's
smaller form factor, yeah. Because they have gone bezel-less, essentially. They got rid of all that extra junk. The resolution, 2436 by 1125 for those of you who are interested, and then 458 PPI, if you're interested in pixels, if you love that information. And then, of course, the OLED display, which is the first iPhone to do that. And I know they've wanted to do this for a while, but they've just said that they were waiting for the OLED technology to, really be up to Apple standards.
I remember OLED a few years ago was really saturated looking on those Galaxy phones. It looked really weird.
They really wanted the colors to be, Apple's always been about colors and things like that. And they wanted, Apple has that standard, which is why you usually pay for what you get because Apple has that. They're known for that standard. They're known for that good quality. You're not paying for junk,
Yeah, I've always respected that about them where they want it to be perfected.
Yeah.
They don't want to put anything that's subpar out there. Yeah. And even if it makes them late, they don't care.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff that they put out here, some companies have already had it for a couple of years, but whatever. They usually, like you said, they like to perfect it. But and then the display, 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio. Haven't talked about contrast ratio since our days of selling TVs.
Oh, man, that's been a while.
I remember thinking it was crazy when we'd sell TVs and be like, you really need to get that TV. It's got like 20,000 to 1 contrast ratio.
That means it's better.
And here we got a phone 1,000,000 to 1. That's insane.
1,000,000.
I was a bad TV salesman. I was a good TV salesman, but everyone wanted to talk numbers, and I'm like, forget all that.
This is what you want right here.
Yeah.
The most expensive one.
And then just some little things on the software, because it is a little different in the sense that there is actually no home button at all on this. So to wake your phone, just like the iPhone 7, you can either raise the phone up or you can tap the screen to wake it. And then, of course, without a home button, you just swipe it to go home. Just swipe the lock screen up once it's unlocked.
I've seen some funny parody videos about that too. Yeah. It's pretty funny. Pretty good stuff.
And same if you're in the middle of an app, instead of hitting the home button to go home, it's not there. You just swipe up from the bottom of the screen.
I don't love this.
From the bottom.
I don't like this.
I don't like it either. It's gonna take.
You're gonna have to get used to it.
It's kind of like swiping to unlock. I got so used to that over the years, and then said, "Oh no, you can't do that anymore."
Yeah, I mean, just like anything, you're just gonna have to get used to it, and you might. It'll grow on you, but we've just been so used to the other stuff for so long. The weirdest thing I think to me is going to be the multitasking, because you have to swipe up, but just hold the swipe for just like a fraction of a second longer, and you can see the multitasking. The side button, like the sleep and wake button, is larger, and that is what you'll use to activate Siri. You just long press that sucker. And then, of course, the one of the biggest things about this phone is with no home button, that means no more Touch ID. Now we have Face ID, facial recognition, which I will admit I was and am still a little bit skeptical of, as far as like how secure it's going to be and how well it's going to work.
I don't like the idea of it. I actually read an article about it. They said they got a call from somebody in the government that they were like questioning the security, everything about it, and I don't think I could give them a straight answer yet.
The only thing I have to say about that, though, is, well, I guess I have a couple of things to say. Is one, I was skeptical about Touch ID first, and it wasn't perfect either when it first came out, and it's still not even that perfect. I mean, there's a lot of times where, I'll try a couple times, I'll lock my phone, and it'll be like, I'll put in your password. Like, okay, whatever. And then the other thing is, if anybody is going to perfect this and make it work really well, I have faith that Apple can do it. I mean, they've got a good track record of getting stuff. Yeah, they had a brief little flub on stage. I mean, they're only human, I mean, like, that stuff happens. I mean, Steve Jobs, everybody hails him as being, the perfect Apple guy. But even he had stuff that went wrong too. I mean, I don't want something to be absolutely perfect, because then it's not real, Yeah. I want to see what will happen if something doesn't go right. Like, how do you recover from it?
And for that,
and they showed it.
For that matter, that could have been planned. But he did have another phone there, to be a backup. But and I guess for those who don't really want it, you do have the option to just still enter a passcode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there is that, and I like how he addressed the fact that instantly, like Derek, you've got those instant hesitations, and it's like, well, here's how we got around some of this stuff. We made sure that it maps all these different things, and you have to look at it.
Yeah.
We tried to fool it and corrected those things and that kind of thing. So they did go the extra few miles to
quite a bit
try to make it really
all those like face models that they made looked kind of creepy.
Yeah, they did.
But so you can't fool it with a picture. You can't even fool it with like a mask, because it does like all the depth and everything.
Yeah, and they went into all the like names of the technology and got real far into it. But before we get too far from the home button, I wanted to address something that they didn't address, is the double tap to get the screen halfway down.
Oh yeah.
How do you do that?
You probably won't really even need to, because the phone is, form factor wise, the phone is smaller.
It'll be probably more like this.
The phone will fit into your hand better than the others, because there isn't all that bezel.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So you're
really like holding the phone there.
Imagine it like
it's hard to imagine without seeing it in person. The fact that the screen is bigger but the phone is smaller.
Yeah.
But you're right. They didn't acknowledge that. But honestly, like, do you use that? I never do.
I do. Yeah.
I never use. Well, I don't have a Plus.
I'll do. Oh yeah, I guess you don't.
I do use that only because sometimes I try to do it one-handed.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never really utilized that. But so yeah, Face ID. It's gonna obviously work with Apple Pay. But my only concern is, I mean, it looked like it goes pretty quickly. Just a couple of seconds or just a second or something like that. Because my concern is, I mean, if you're at a cash register and you just got to look at your phone. But then again...
What's he doing? I'm trying to pay.
Pay with my phone.
I'm just staring at my phone. But then again, I always forget about Apple Pay. Honestly, I probably can count on both hands the number of times I've used Apple Pay.
I've never
used it either.
No, I've used... Honestly,
my
I've used
bank doesn't support it.
I've used it more with my Apple Watch than I have with my phone.
Oh, yeah.
That makes more sense.
And even then, I still forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, seems a little more convenient, I guess.
Yeah, because
your watch on you.
Can you where can you do it? I mean, how many places actually have support?
Honestly, not as many as you'd think. But I mean, Walgreens is probably the main place I've used it at.
The one thing where I could really use it is Quick Trip.
Do they do Apple?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No, they don't. I think Starbucks does, maybe.
Yeah, I think Starbucks does.
Yeah, and I use their app.
I don't ever go there, but Walgreens is really about the only place that I've ever used it at. That's the only place I usually ever remember. But anyway, another thing to go along with this, along with the Face ID stuff, is Animoji. Animated emojis, essentially. There's, like 10 or 11 of these things. Specific little emojis that are, I guess, go along with this technology with Face ID, that they can like map to the contours of your face and stuff, and they will animate to your facial expressions, so you can record little things to send in messages. I mean, it's just a little gimmick, a little fun feature.
It's probably like a stepping stone for something, more in the future. Because right now it's more like just like you said, a little gimmicky kind of thing.
I mean, when you watch them do it on stage and stuff, it looks really goofy, and you think like, this is so stupid. Like, why do we want this? But if you really think about what you're doing there, like, that's really impressive.
Oh yeah,
I mean, in real time, this thing is mapping your expressions, and it's doing like, this is like stuff like, I mean, this is like motion capture type stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Like what, films do. I mean, it's a very, very, very minuscule level of it, but it's essentially that same sort of thing.
I've seen videos on YouTube of stuff like that, the motion capture, like people sitting and doing stuff where it becomes like an animated cartoon almost.
Yeah.
I think about like the movie Ted. Seth MacFarlane is Ted, wearing a big suit, and so his motions are really what Ted became, and that's when you have to wear the dots all over you.
Yeah. So it's crazy to think that, I mean, maybe this could be the future of that type of stuff. Like maybe 10, 20 years from now, maybe they won't even need to use all those dots and stuff in the future. They'll have cameras and stuff that can just do it without it. Like the technology will be so good that you can just have the actors actually out there without being in this crazy, ridiculous looking costume. So that's pretty neat. One thing that I was a little disappointed with is the fact that this is the big model, the iPhone 10, the anniversary edition, is I was expecting the cameras to actually be better than the iPhone 8s, but they're not. They're still 12 megapixel cameras, just like the 8 and 8 Plus. And of course it has the wireless charging as well.
And the 7s were 12 too, right?
Well, 6S is 12.
See, I had to go back and look those up because I just don't keep up as well anymore. But I remember when I was selling phones, that was hard to overcome because Samsung and some of the others were increasing megapixels fast, where Apple never did, and they've always been focused on more featurey stuff.
Well, it's hard to explain because some people will just think, well, the higher the megapixel, the better the camera is.
But it's not true.
It's not it at all.
Because I mean, I've seen people even say like the iPhone 7. Well, maybe not now. There might be some phones that have just come out that have replaced it, but there for a while, the iPhone 7's camera was like the best, I think, out there on the market.
Well, there was one just a few years ago, Nokia made it, and it had like a 41 megapixel, and it wasn't. They compared it with the iPhone and the Galaxy at the time, and it was just as good.
It's not all about megapixels anymore, like things used to be.
Nokia, was it a Windows phone?
Yeah, it was.
And that went well.
The 15, real well. I have a Windows phone. It wasn't mine, but I have it now. And it actually had wireless charging capabilities too from 2012. Wow. But nobody cares about Windows Phone at all.
I always notice, my mom, I think it's a Galaxy 4. It's old school at this point because they move so fast now. But
toys.
Yeah. But when I look at pictures on her phone that were taken by the phone, they look amazing. Yeah. But I think people are fooled by that because the screen, it's all, send me that picture and I'll show you how different it looks.
It's that OLED screen that oversaturates everything.
Yeah.
I guess the big thing about this iPhone 10 that people are up in arms about is the pricing of it, of course, which it's to be expected. It's their premium model. Again, only two sizes, 64 gig and 256, but the 64 gig is going to start at $999, and the 256 is $1149. So, I mean, it's a pretty hefty price tag on those.
I couldn't imagine being one of those people that just paid like cash for it. They just bought it all at once.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know.
I mean, it would be nice to be able to.
Oh, sure.
Obviously.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like we were talking when we opened the show, is we're not getting 8s because we would prefer this phone.
Yeah.
But that's a bit pricey, and it's just not going to happen. I saw a great photo on Facebook earlier that said iPhone 10, $1,000, and then the entire menu at Cracker Barrel adds up to like $887.
I think I saw that too.
It said make wise choices.
Wow, that is crazy.
I think I saw that as well. Yep.
And the iPhone 10 does not release with the 8 and 8 Plus, which I am thankful for. There actually is a wait, so you can pre-order it on October 27th, and it launches a week later on November 3rd. So we got a little bit of time for this one, a little over a month. So
did they say anything about availability, like how much there's going to be, if there's going to be like a shortage?
They didn't say limited release.
They usually never say that type of. They're not going to say that type of stuff. But if you have been reading or listening to, the rumors from beforehand and of what their production and stuff has been, it sounds like one of the reasons for this delay is production shortages, and B, they might be hard to come by for a while. A lot of people suspect they'll be sold out well until 2018.
Oh, I would think.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
But I'm hoping that because of that gap between the 8 and the 10, time-wise, maybe a lot of people will be impatient or not willing to cough up the extra dough, and they'll just jump for the 8 and 8 Plus, and then maybe the 10s won't be as hard to get. But
there's a lot of impatient people that they'll wait in line for the 8.
At the same time, there's a lot of people that really want this new, brand new, sparkly, shiny phone.
I'm just thinking about their timing, in like 2.5, 3 weeks after that launch is Black Friday, and imagine all that. But I remember I was at Best Buy when I can't remember if it was the 3G or the 3GS, speaking of stupid names.
Yeah, 3GS.
When those came out, and we worked in a smaller store, it wasn't like, the big one in town, and I think we had like 5 the day they launched. I'm like, you're kidding.
That's
5?
crazy.
I remember you saying that.
They were gone instantly.
Yeah.
That's great.
Wow. Well, I plan to try to get the iPhone 10.
Okay.
Stay all night
but
pre-order.
I am not going to be paying the full price for it. I'm on AT&T's Next plans, so you basically lease out the phones, and I believe for the 64 gig, at least on Apple's website for their little. They're essentially the same thing as AT&T Next program. Their leasing thing, it was like around $49 a month was the monthly payment. So I imagine the AT&T Next is about the same. So that's what I'd be looking at, which is not too much more than what my plan is right now on my iPhone 7. I think it's like 30-something a month. So it's not too much of a jump. The only bad thing is, which I think I mentioned to you earlier, Derek, is that my iPhone 7 is 128 gigs. Yeah. So I will be dropping down to a 64 gig because I'm not upgrading to the 256. That's a little too much for me. I don't need that much storage for my phone. I'm not willing to pay the extra for that. I do have a little bit more than 64 gigs of space used on my 128 gig phone, which I didn't realize I did. But I just recently started actually using iCloud for the first time ever, because for like $3 a month you can get 200 gigs, which I thought was insane. They must have dropped their prices or something. I've never used iCloud before, really.
Never.
And so I was like, okay, well that's not bad. 200 gigs for $3 a month. And so I'm gonna be able to start putting a good chunk of my storage is used up by pictures and videos.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to move a lot of that to the cloud, and I'll be able to really free up a lot of storage. So 64 gigs will be plenty for me.
I think I'm on a 64 gig here with the 6, which was at the time was probably like the middle option or something, or maybe it's the top one on the 6.
I think it was the top.
It might have been.
It was,
but my same kind of thing. It's multimedia photos and videos that take up most of it. I've gotten to the point where I don't use a lot of apps. I don't play games on my phone, so I've just kind of gone down to the minimum. But I don't do any cloud storage for photos, and I know a guy who swears by, even with his iPhone, Google Photo.
Yeah, that's what I use. Yeah, that's what I use. You get like 15 gigs, I think, for free.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I have used up until now. Like, that's what I've always used that.
So, but then I have this weird thing where even if I do a physical backup to my MacBook Pro, I can't delete photos off of here.
I know. I'm the same way. That's why I let everything build up, man.
I back it up in like 3 different places before I delete them off of here. That's how I've done it.
And I know if I used iCloud or Google Photo, I could get to them, because if I think I want these in quick access in case I have a story I'm telling and I need a photo to back it up or something, you know.
You could see it. You just have to be connected to the internet. But then if you want it on your phone, you could just hit like the download button and download it back to your device if you need to.
And so basically what I'm saying is if I would just get with the times and use that, then I would have all kinds of storage.
Yeah, same here. I mean, but I'm going to have to. I'm basically forcing myself to have to do this. So, but assuming I can even get in to get those pre-orders, I'm planning to get a 10. But if I can't, then no, I'm not going to just suck it up and get an 8. I will just suck it up and wait until the 10s are available.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that I would like to get. If I'm upgrading, I am upgrading. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm not just doing a little half upgrade. Like, I'm going all the way if I'm going. So
no real reason to go from a 7 Plus to a 8 Plus.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Derek, are you going to consider it? A 10?
The 10, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it this year. I mean, maybe when the dust clears a little bit early next year, when they're a little bit more available, probably will.
Yeah,
and it'll be time. This it's 2 years old. It'll be almost 2.5 years old by that time. So yeah, it's probably time. That phone, your phone, is probably time.
Well, yeah, I'm in a different situation.
Yeah,
it's a work phone, and when they gave them to us, it was a miracle because we were using 4 S's.
Oh, I thought you'd be using Blackberries or something.
No, and it was I don't remember exactly when we got these, but I think they were the current one.
Yeah. You've had it for a while, I remember.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I feel lucky to have gotten this phone and not ever paid a cent for it.
Yeah.
So basically my answer is if I was going to get one of these new phones, it would be the 10.
Right.
But because, I'm not paying for my own phone right now, no.
Right. Makes sense.
But this is the first time in several years where they've released an iPhone and I went, oh, I want that.
I want that phone.
It looks awesome. Yeah, we'll just see. I mean, there's a lot of things that are so different. That's just going to take a lot of getting used to. That no home button. It was a lot to get used to with not being physical button. Yep. But actually not having it at all will take a lot of getting used to.
Like Derek said, everything took that. Yeah. Like when they got rid of swipe and we're like, huh?
We don't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, everything like that changed.
I use the flashlight on Control Center a lot.
Oh yeah,
that will really. I'll be like, oh man, you swipe up and it just closes everything out because you have to swipe up from the top now, right?
Yeah,
to
it's
get that flashlight.
Yeah. So that's worth mentioning. It's edge to edge, except for a little black bar at the top where like
all your sensors are.
The cameras and sensors, and then so to the right of that is where you pull down to get your Control Center. Mm-hmm. And then I forget, it was like the time
clock,
was on the left.
Yeah, the time is on the left. Cut out. The right is like your status indicator. Wi-Fi.
There's a couple other phones out there that are a lot like that. They have the little notch for the sensors and stuff like that because they have to.
I don't know if you noticed this. It's not really a big deal, but I noticed it, and I am actually thankful for it. But the cell phone signal, it's back to being bars. For a long time, they've been little dots.
Dots, yeah.
I don't know when those came about.
It's
maybe iOS like 9 or
it's been a while.
Something like that. Like they've been here for a little while. Mm-hmm. But I noticed it, and I guess in iOS 11 they go back to being bars.
So is it? I didn't notice because your space is limited. Does it still have the carrier name and the LTE signal? LTE.
It didn't look like it.
There's just not enough room.
Yeah, it looked like it's just your bars and then Wi-Fi strength. I mean, I'm sure you can probably customize that stuff just like you can customize right now, like what shows up there, like battery percentage and stuff like that.
I always like the percentage.
Yeah, me too. But then some of it, like, because that's where you swipe down to get the Control Center. So some of it, like, maybe you swipe down and you see more of it.
And then it's there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look it up right now because I want to see.
What you can change?
Show it or not. I just don't know if it's going to show. Well,
I see. Yeah.
These aren't correct.
So that kind of stuff would be interesting. And the bars, yeah. I don't know. I never really pay attention to the dots unless I notice them low and I'm like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah. It's one of those things I've just gotten used to, like anything else.
And remember, so you guys ever like go? I recently drove to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and at one point lost some signal.
Yeah, I've been through there,
and then I realized when it went to like 3G or something, I'm like, this is slow. How did we ever use that?
Oh gosh, I know. Or even the 3G is really slow. But I don't know if you've ever used anything that has like the Edge network.
Yeah.
What was before the 3G? That's really slow. So yeah, there's no words. It's just the signal strength.
So there's no room for battery percentage there.
It's showing a few different things, and you have.
But there probably will be. I mean, you can probably customize it, I would imagine.
That's a lot.
But one other thing to mention that they kind of showed off, kind of with their wireless charging, is they're releasing a product not coming out till next year. They're calling it Air Power. It's essentially a wireless charging mat where you can charge. Up to, I don't know if they specified up to 3 things at once or they just only showed 3 things, but they showed, you can set your iPhone on there, your Apple Watch Series 3, and then like your AirPods, whoever actually uses those. You can charge multiple things at once or like 2 iPhones. Mm-hmm. But I would imagine, obviously it has to be an iPhone 8 or above with the wireless charging.
I think that would be awesome. If I had 2 iPhone 10s, wife and I had an iPhone 10, we could charge them both at the same time.
On that little mat, yeah.
Sarah's really bad about losing chargers, so so we only have one. I only have one lightning cord right now.
I have a weird, my brain can't compute how wireless charging works yet.
It is odd.
I'm not there yet, and so I like it. I think it's going to be cool. Mm-hmm. But the way I use my phone and charge it, it would be worse for me because I plug it in and I lay it on my bed next to me and mess with it when I'm going to sleep or listen to something and I want it closer.
Yeah.
So it's a little. It would be, but it still has lightning, right?
Yeah. So, thankfully, they didn't do what they did with the headphone jack. And got rid of the lightning port.
I had to look that up. I was like, "Oh man, did they get rid of the lightning?"
I think they would have everybody get up and walk out if they did that.
Just done.
Yeah, because that would really be crazy. And then iOS 11, it actually launches on September 19th. So that's coming out soon.
I completely missed that part. Is there anything that stands out as?
There's just some aesthetic changes. I can't remember some of the big things. I think the biggest thing, which I do not like, is the App Store is completely getting a complete makeover. It's going to look like how Apple Music does.
All pink and cartoony. And
well, I hate the way Apple Music looks now. I have not liked its design. It's hard for me to navigate.
I've missed iOS since they really went over to this flat design. I missed the old.
Well, see, I like the flat.
It looks okay.
I like the flatness, since iOS 7, but I really don't like the look of Apple Music. It's just something about, I don't know. It's been hard for me. I had to actually look up how to turn on shuffle and repeat on songs. I had to look it up because I could not find it anywhere. And then I see that all you got to do is just swipe up on the song, and it's there's not a little scroll bar, there's no indicator. How would you know to do that?
I found that by accident, but I'm still trying to find out. I have a thing where one of my cars has Bluetooth, and for some reason it always turns on repeat, which it doesn't make it repeat, but it always says repeats on. And then you might know the answer to this, and this is so kind of a tangent, but if you have do you have any albums where you bought one song from that album, and it always repeats it? I can't get it to not repeat that one.
Oh yeah, it won't stop. It'll just play the song again. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. See that? Yeah, I don't know. They're kind of weird with their music stuff, which is kind of funny because
it's where they started.
That was the big thing. Yeah.
But so that's one of the big things I know from iOS 11 is that the App Store is change a big makeover. Obviously I know there's a bunch of other little things. I think they're adding a new slew of emojis and probably just a lot of little things here and there, but off the top of my head, that's the main thing I can think of.
I still don't use a lot of what they've added to iMessage, like the slam and the explode. I only recently found all those.
We were talking about that the other day.
I only recently found the one that have the stars and the balloons and
confetti.
Well, the first time I saw that, I'm like, that's really cool, but it's pretty pointless.
I've used it probably a dozen times.
Always forget about it.
Well, yeah, I do too.
Main thing that we use is the GIF.
I use the
GIF keyboards
all the time.
But what about, do you ever use and I hate when it comes up, it's the little one you draw on?
Oh, like if you turn your phone in landscape mode? I mean, I've done it a couple of times.
I used it a lot at the beginning, but...
Yeah.
It's really just more like to play with.
It's lost the funness, I guess, after so long.
And the weird little symbols, like the heartbeat thing. And
oh, yeah. No, I don't ever use that. It was, it's like we played around with it when it first became available and then never touched it since.
That's the Animoji. That's how that's going to be, too. I guarantee
Yeah, probably. I mean, I might utilize it with my wife and just being silly, and that's probably about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, not really going to go into any details, but they also just announced, the new Apple Watch Series 3, and then an updated Apple TV that's going to support 4K.
Well, yeah, I mean, just real quick, the biggest thing with the new watch is the cellular capabilities, so you can make phone calls and text. But I mean, really, most people that have a watch also have an iPhone. So that's the same thing anyway.
I heard that, but it just now occurred to me, so does it have to have its own plan?
Yes.
Well, yes and no.
I thought
you do pay an extra a month to add it to your data plan, but it's not going to have its own number. It utilizes your same number and everything.
Okay. So if you don't,
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I don't have my iPhone but I've got my Apple Watch and you call me, I can take the call, but you're still calling my same number.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work off of Bluetooth. It works off of an actual SIM card.
Yeah, it has a what do they call it? Because it's not a micro SIM.
Or
it's like a
nano SIM.
It's something new, like some sort of digital electronic SIM that's inside of it. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, so it is a cellular plan. But what I had heard was it's like a $10 a month thing or whatever to add it to your data plan.
But that makes sense. But
it is tied to your account, to your number.
That just seems funny. I don't know I guess I don't see the point.
Yeah, I've never had an Apple Watch. I don't want one, and I just...
This guy does.
They're cool. I just wouldn't use it.
I don't ever have it without my phone is the thing.
Yeah.
Now, if I was somebody that was really active, went running and stuff all the time, I could definitely see the use of it. Because if I'm out running around, I don't want to lug my phone in my gym shorts or something and have it flopping around or risk it flying out or something like that. So that would be really convenient.
Yeah, that's the only thing I really could see
it would
using
be
it for.
Useful for people that are active. Yeah. And then
I'm not active as I used to be.
And then the I guess the only thing to say about the Apple TV 4K, which I thought was cool, was that they're working with most movie distributors. I think one of the main ones that surprisingly are not doing this yet is Disney, but all the other ones are going to be offering the 4K movies at the same price as just regular HD movies, which is good. And also any HD movies that you've bought from iTunes will automatically upgrade to 4K at no additional cost. So that's pretty cool. Nice. But I don't have a 4K TV. Not going to be getting one in the foreseeable future, so none of this is important to me.
Yep.
I've thought about getting an Apple TV because I've got the original Roku. It's square. It's getting outdated, and I keep getting emails that saying you need to upgrade, or it's going to stop getting supported. So I don't think I'll get this one. But if they still make the original 1080p one,
I have the Gen 2 Apple TV, which is the one right before they start doing 1080p. So
is it giant? I guess I've never.
No, it's not the super thick ones. I mean, it's the thin one, but it literally, I think a month or two after I bought mine. They are like, we got a new Apple TV and it's doing 1080p.
You were so mad.
I was like, come on, man.
Come on.
So you have the original Roku. Do you have to order DVDs from Netflix still?
I still order. I still go to the movie place down the road to get my DVDs.
We laugh, but Netflix still does that. And I actually I know somebody who still has to do that.
I did not know they do that still.
They do still do the DVD thing, which it's good that they do because. I mean, we do take fast internet for granted, but there are still people. I've got a friend who lives in an area where he just can't get fast internet, and so instant streaming and stuff is just not in the cards for him. But Netflix does the DVD option, so that's what he does.
I didn't see that option. Where do you get that? How do you do it?
I don't know. I don't think you can do both anymore, though.
You can't do
You used to be able to do both. Yeah. I think now it's one or the other.
I did 6 years ago. I did both. I did the streaming and the DVDs. And honestly, we never used. We would get them and then just forget that we had them.
I don't think I've ever actually done the DVD thing. Even when it was new.
That's how I started because I've been with Netflix almost from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like before the streaming, and that's how I did it, was with the DVDs.
Started and stopped it several times since it's been I'll cancel it for a while.
Yeah.
Now it's, I mean, it was like $5-6. Now it's $10.
It was $8. It might still be $8. I don't know.
Mine's $9.99.
Yeah. It's still a good price, though.
Yeah.
For
what you get.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you use it all the time, too.
The biggest thing, and hopefully they never change, is that there's no ads in it.
Right.
That's...
Oh, man.
Commercials.
Well, there are.
Well...
Like in their original programming, it's all ad placement, like the cars they're driving, the things they're drinking.
Right.
Which I can handle that. It's better than a commercial.
Right.
I'll take a 30-second commercial every 5 minutes, you know.
Yeah. YouTube.
Yeah.
But I say that, and there's probably going to be an ad on this podcast that is going to be up on YouTube, which most people are probably going to either skip or have ad blockers, so it's not really going to do anything for us anyway.
I've noticed that, like, I think you have to have a certain amount of subscribers or followers or views in your old videos or something to get an ad.
No.
Really?
No,
we've
it's
had
on
ads.
anything.
Yeah, we've had ads from the get-go.
Okay.
Yep.
But, I mean, it's not like we see any revenue from it because we don't have enough views right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, to close out this episode, Skyler, I think you had an interesting story you want to tell about how... So this is the first time that you have visited my new house. So tell us about your interesting journey of how you got here.
Patrick,
I have not heard this either. He's been teasing me with it.
Yeah, so I thought it was very fitting that we're talking Apple and iPhones and everything today.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And on my way here, I know Owasso, but I got within about a mile and I went, okay, I better turn on my GPS now because I don't know exactly where I'm going.
Yeah.
And I prefer Google Maps. And so
Boo.
I use both.
I do.
Continue.
So I plug it in. And I drive right to where it is, and I'm looking at the house numbers, and I'm like, this isn't even right. And I tried to do it on my own because, like, I understand the numbering system. I'm like, I'll just find it myself. I'm close. The numbers weren't making sense. I'm like, I'm not in the right spot. So I was like, all right, I'll try Apple Maps. And it took me right here.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
of course.
Great. So the one I've always sworn off ever since their big glitch, where like 6 years ago, whatever it was, when it was a massive glitch, I haven't used it since, and today it saved me.
You know, it's funny because I've gotten mixed reviews, I guess you could say, from people needing to get here, and their GPS is like some who use Google Maps have said it's brought them right here. Some who use Apple Maps says brought them right here, and vice versa.
Wow.
So it's crazy. Because your first time here, didn't you use...
I just listened to what you said.
Okay, yeah. Well, there's somebody, I can't remember, that I think they used Apple Maps and it did not bring them here. It like took them somewhere up the street.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was down a little further east, and the roads, like, I think it went off the roads, not the address, and I was close, like, numerically, but it wasn't actually here.
Yeah, it's a weird layout around here. But either way, you're here. Thanks to Apple. Saved the day. Now you can thank them by getting an iPhone 10.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for being a part of this, Skyler. I always love talking about the new iPhones with you. It's always been kind of a tradition, I feel like, for like the last several years.
Yeah, man. Between the two of us, we've been podcasting a good while now, and it's a regular thing for us, and I have a lot of fun, so I'm glad you invited me. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for being here, always willing to be a part of it, and it was good having you here too, Derek. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's hard to get both of us together. I know we've been doing our Halo stuff, but thankfully we were able to get a podcast this time. So anyway, thank you guys for listening to us. Again, this was an audio only. Not sure when we'll have the video podcast back up, but for now, you can just listen to us and imagine. Use your imagination. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube if you have not already. Thank you guys, and we will see you next time.